What's up YouTube? Austin coming at you with Vaporleaf.com. Today we're going to be talking about the new Kanger cotton coils. Now these aren't going to be the coils for like the sub-tank and stuff. These are going to be the replacement coils for your EVOD, your EVOD 2s, your Pro tanks, your T3s, your T3Ds, stuff like that. Yeah, obviously the sub-tank coils, those are already cotton. So we're just going to be going to the cotton coils on the EVOD, well, your single coil and your dual coil. The ones that look like these little guys. So let's go ahead and jump down. Alright, here we are down in close to take a closer look at the new Kanger cotton coils. So I've got the older and the newer version of the single coils and the older and the newer version of the dual coils right here. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the differences real quick. So with the single coil here, it's going to look basically the same. See if we can get that guy in focus. There we go. So you can see the silica wick right there. It's a little bit more shiny than the cotton, looks a little bit more translucent, and anybody who has ever used silica wick knows that once it gets wet it basically disappears, or at least when it's in juice. So as far as the look of it, it's going to be very fairly similar. Let me grab the cotton one here. So here's the cotton coil. You can see it's not quite as shiny, a little bit more poofy. Silica wick's going to be a little bit shinier. Cotton's going to be a little bit poofier, not as shiny. But other than that, they both basically look the same. You can kind of, let's see if I can get that in there. You can kind of see that the wick's a little bit shinier on that guy. Not so shiny on that one. And a little bit more poofy on it. There we go. Alright. As far as the dual coils go, this is the older style. It has the two smaller holes. And the newer coil is going to have that one large hole on either side. So the older coil is going to have the two smaller holes, so 4 small holes in total. And the newer coil is going to have one big hole on each side, so 2 in total on that. Alright, let's go ahead and jump into priming these guys. So with silica wick, with the old coils that are using silica wick on them, there's really not much of a priming process that you need to do with them, because silica doesn't burn. You can hold it under a flame all day long and all that's going to do is glow. Cotton, on the other hand, is obviously a little bit of a different story, so it will burn very quickly if it's not wet. So we need to fully saturate these before we start vaping on them, so I'm going to show you 2 different techniques. The first technique that I'm going to show you, I'll show you on the dual coil. Today we're going to be using cinnamon Danish at 12 nicotine. So alright, what I'm going to do is, you can see the little hole right there. I'm just going to take the juice and put a decent sized drop right on that hole right there. Then I'm going to come over to the other side. Put another decent sized drop on it. And I'll put one more since this one soaked in fairly quickly. And now we're just going to wait about 30 seconds. As you can see, that one soaked in already. There's a little bit of excess juice on there. Get that back in focus. Alright, there we go. So after about 30 seconds to a minute, it'll eat almost all of it. If you put larger drops on, it's not going to look like it absorbs it as efficiently as this one. But if you just put a nice big drop of juice on each side of it and wait about 30 seconds to a minute for it to saturate, it's going to do just fine. So at that point we would throw it in the tank and we'd be good to go. So on this guy I'm going to show you a little bit of a different priming process with it. You can do the same thing where you just put a drop on each side of the wick and go for it. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this EVOD tank and fill it up here real quick. Alright, so we filled that up real quick there. Then all that we're going to do is just screw the coil right into the base right here. So the coil's still dry at this point, but now I'm going to turn it over. Let me zoom it out just a little bit for this as well. And we're just going to do 3 dry drags on it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to block off this airflow on the bottom and also the 3 small holes around it. So whatever you're using, like if you're using an aero tank like this, just block off the airflow wherever that's coming from. So I'm going to block off all the airflow and I'm going to take 3 heavy drags. Alright. So at that point, now I took those 3 drags, now I can pull the coil out, and you can see that that is nice and saturated now. And ready to vape. Alright guys, let's jump up and finish this up. Alright guys, so that was the new cotton coils from Kangertech. So few last things to mention on this. First and foremost is with the dual coils, they are now technically a single vertical coil. It's no longer a dual coil. Fits in all the dual coil tanks, no longer a dual coil unit. It's no longer a dual coil coil. So there is just one coil in there and I can see straight through it. So that's going to be a vertical coil on that. It does still fit all the dual coil stuff, but it's now a vertical single coil. Performance has been fine on them, haven't had an issue with them. That kind of segues into the next thing that I was going to say is, as long as you are priming these correctly, we've been seeing about 3 to 5 days longer off of these coils and a much better flavor. Now that being said, I had heard 1 or 2 people say that they don't like the flavor off of these. Now it does seem like that it is just a cotton break-in flavor that they're tasting, and they kind of get used to it after a couple days. I mean, there's really no option past this. This is what Kanger's going to, is just the cotton coil. I'm sure the silica wick coils are going to be in the market for a little bit, but as far as new production, they're just going to be using cotton coils. So eventually, everybody who uses a tank who requires one of these coils is going to be using a cotton coil in their tank. So yeah guys, just make sure that you really prime these up. You need liquid in there one way or another. I showed you 2 methods. As long as that cotton is getting saturated with juice before you are applying heat from the actual wire heating up, you should be okay. The cotton just needs to be saturated with juice or it's going to burn. And if the coil burns, it's done. You might as well just throw it away then, because you're going to get a burnt taste out of it, and that's going to stick around for as long as you're going to use that coil. Assuming that you don't re-wick it or do anything like that, just keeping it stock. Alright guys, thanks for watching. As always, make sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube for all the latest and greatest videos. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye now.